So now 2022 well underway, it's time to go to a video that's now sort of becoming a yearly thing of just a general channel update to kind of tell you guys what I'm currently working on, how last year went, and what to look forward to in this new year. So to start it off, the year just ended with Advent to Code 2021. The video for that went out last Wednesday now from when this was released, going over the rest of the days. Obviously for Advent to Code 2021, I wasn't able to finish all the days in the time that it happened. This was mainly due to the fact that I went on holiday vacation during like the last week or so of those days, so I wasn't able to do it. And then of course, after I came back, I got sick, and then that kind of delayed things further and further, so I wasn't able to do them as the original plan was to be. This video was meant to be last week, but we're here now. So at any rate, last year was pretty good. I am very happy with how it went. Channel is going pretty good. I am still trying to figure out how this upload schedule I want to do is. I'm kind of going back towards the kind of every 2 weeks to once a month type videos. Obviously, this is not a full-time thing for me. This is a hobby. And mainly between this, my real life job, and all of the other projects I have that don't really work or make sense to make videos on, I just can't do many videos for this. So I can't do that once a week or once every other week commitment. But my plan is at least Wednesdays I'm going to try for every other week. If not, it's kind of when I get to them. But yeah, overall, still pretty happy. So I guess let's get into this year and what you kind of expect this year. The first thing is we'll get towards the videos that are going to be coming out soon. These are the ones that are kind of really actually planned and are actually in development, I guess. The first of which is something you can see here in the background, if I can figure out and point to it. That thing, that's going to be probably the first video for this year. As you see, it's done, it's complete. It is my new 3D printer enclosure case thing. If before it used to be up here, this is the server rack that I have. But no, this all kind of ties together. Get to a second here, but this was a server rack that I have. The 3D printer used to sit up on top of here. It has now been moved back into its own enclosure. For the reason of another video that'll be coming out that's actually sitting over here is a DIY home server. I am building a home server / NAS, and that'll be going into here, and I felt it was best to not have the 3D printer on top of it, especially while it's running. I don't want the shaking, the vibration of the overall of the server rack here to kind of affect everything. So I felt it was best to just kind of move it to its own thing. Did some other things with it, but there are other reasons besides that. But it kind of just made into 2 projects there. This was something like the right time to do it. So at any rate, so the video for that will probably be the first one up this year. As you see, it's done. I just got to kind of get all the video together, edit it. Things got kind of weird because of me being sick as when I finished it, so I didn't really have much footage. So we'll figure it out. Obviously I'll get the video, but that'll be kind of that'll be the start of the year. Will be kind of things around the server rack here, as well as the 3D printer enclosure will be kind of the beginning of this year. But besides that, getting away from the kind of more DIY projects into one that is kind of a current, or not it's a recurring theme of the channel, or I guess things I do, the Discord Games bot. That will be coming back in a sense. The fact that I've had enough of Discord.js. It's the underlying framework I used for connecting with Discord for my bots. I kind of had enough with it, and with the new changes to Discord and how they do interactions and all that, and needing to move to / commands, I just didn't want to bother with trying to figure out Discord.js. It had a huge kind of overhead with all the caching it does. I just didn't care for it. It was a hassle, and so I decided to kind of roll my own framework, and that's what's there'll be a big update video for that's coming out again when it comes to it. The bot is actually currently not running off of it. It is live and going. It is kind of now just in a monitoring stage of making sure the framework actually works and that there's no errors with it, and updating that. So that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, it's been moved completely off of Discord.js to a much more minimal implementation, I guess. It's very similar to Discord.js. Things kind of carry over, but working with that, so there'll be an update on that, as well as moving over to / commands, because now Discord is implementing a rule, I guess, to where you have to have a certain intent to actually grab messages. I don't feel like applying for that intent, so there's not a need for it. So I am kind of redoing some of the games to work off of all the interactions, to not need messages, and just kind of doing things that way. So that will be a kind of a big project this that'll be get into a video, and then I might continue on making more games as the year goes on. We will see, but that is also something to look forward to coming up this year, and that's kind of what's been going on later half of last year with in terms of work that. So getting back into the more DIY projects that are well, just getting back into more DIY projects. One project that's been the oldest on this channel but isn't dead, the Raspberry Pi action camera. It's not dead. I am working on it. It's just not as active as the other ones, but I want to get back to this year. I want to get to it. I want to work on it again. I'm not gonna say finish it because I don't think I feel like I can finish it, but I want to get back to it. And one of the biggest reasons, actually two of the biggest reasons why it's been kind of lacking, I guess, or has been kind of out of the videos is one, audio. Audio is kind of like the next benchmark I wanted to hit, and oh my goodness, it has been just a nightmare to deal with. The TLDR is that the audio microphone setup I have that's working with it, FFmpeg, it doesn't work. It doesn't play nice. For whatever reason, the audio, it's not the codec, it's the interface of the audio brings in FFmpeg, just pins the CPU to 100% for no apparent reason. There's some clash with how FFmpeg is expecting the audio to come in and all that, but it's an issue with underlying things that I can't fix, I can't address with it. I'm kind of just out of luck that this just randomly happens. Apparently newer FFmpegs might solve this, but they're not available yet for me to kind of just apt install. I have to go through the whole process of manually doing and all that, but I just kind of left that on the back burner. But then this wonderful thing happened last year. I guess at this point, the Raspberry Pi Zero 2W came out. $15 computer, so not the $5 or $10 that the original one was. $15, but it's got the CPU from the Raspberry Pi 3, if I remember correctly. And with that, it is much more powerful, but also going to need much more power to use the CPU, so much more battery life would be used. So I have one. I will be experimenting with it to see if that can also help us get much more performance just for this project in general. So there's been a lot of things that have kind of all meshed together at the same time. That's kind of made things not weird, but it's kind of thrown a wrench in some things. So at any rate, that project's not dead. I want to finish it, but it's just in a weird limbo state of I'm trying to learn all this together and things aren't working and I don't know what's happening, and just, yeah, but it's still there. So maybe this year, my fingers crossed, I can get at least a video on it, or some sort of update on it at any rate. But yeah, going back to the 3D printer here for a second. The main reason why this actually needed to be built though was for another DIY project. I got the things here. Come on, I'll show them off. A little teaser. Was for these things here. These are, well, it's part of the larger project. These are sliders for roller hockey. If you're a goalie, to slide out, to allow your pads to slide on the concrete out there while you're playing. But also on the other half of that, the one half was the goalie parts. The other half was, well, I have the demos here, was 3D printing these, which are little blade protectors for your stick to protect the hockey stick blade on the concrete. Again, this enclosure was needed for better printing quality, I guess, or consistent printing, but also experiment with some other filament types and to kind of allow myself more filaments than just PLA and PETG and all that stuff. I have TPU, which kind of needs an enclosure in a sense for just better control. That was one of the reasons why I needed to build this, was for those other filaments. But anyways, a video that I want to do, it's probably more of a summer one, once things are open back up, or not open back up, but things I can actually get outside and do some roller stuff with. Maybe a video on that to kind of show the process of how I developed these sliders from me as a goalie, to allow myself to slide out there again, and also just a blade protector instead of paying for some plastic thing from overseas for $20. I can print this for $2. But at any rate, this is kind of a fun personal one I want to do that was kind of fun one for me to develop from start to end and just kind of work with and experiment with a 3D printer, allow me to do things like this, listen, closure, and whatnot. But yeah, so it's a fun thing to look forward to in the new year. And then getting into the final two things I want to talk about for this upcoming year. One, I do want to revisit the unconventional game engines to play around with more ideas. I have one that I've been speaking with the developer of. It's a language called 42. Sounds interesting. So it's another thing of just kind of taking just whatever is out there that's kind of weird, wonky, or crazy, and play around with learning them, but also just kind of making games with them or doing things that they're not really intended to do, to have fun. So I would like to do some more stuff with unconventional game engines. It's been very fun for me. But that does lead me into the final thing, and I want to try and do more collabs this year. Like I said, 42, I am kind of working with the developer of that language to kind of build the game, to learn from it, but also like do other things. I've been talking with someone who's in the electronic space, RGB engineering, which I'll tag all these people down below. Not to say these are actually gonna happen. I want to phrase that if they don't end up happening, just things kind of fell through and they just didn't end up happening. But that being said, I do want to shout these people out because I do enjoy working with them, do enjoy watching them and whatnot. So I'll leave a link to them in the description below. But from RGB engineering, working with him to maybe in the future develop a project where we can do together to kind of leverage our strengths of me in programming and kind of microprocessor stuff there of like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, whatnot. But also his specialty, which is electronic design, electrical engineering in that sense, maybe collaborate in a project there in a sense of that. And also the programmers that I know, Bargy, Polymars, maybe eventually in the future I'll work with them on a project. I don't know. I've talked to them. Who knows that things will actually go through. But again, things I would like to do in the future. Want to do more collaborations, work with people to just do projects for fun. It's kind of doing everything by yourself is great and all, but when you collaborate with people, it just makes everything much more fun. So fingers crossed that some of those stuff can happen and go through. But yeah, that is sort of the roundup of what to expect this year. So at any rate, 2022, fingers crossed, is a great year. Well, nothing's given right now. So, but at any rate, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys all rest of this year for new content and amazing videos, hopefully. But anyway, thanks for being here. See you next time. Peace out.